And now for our last session today, I'm happy to welcome Stefano Fratta onto our virtual stage. He's Meta's EMEA Privacy Policy Director, and he agreed to talk us through the fully virtual experience, basically, because he agreed to talk about privacy, innovation, and the Metaverse, because the Metaverse is basically the necessary next step. It has been going on for quite a while. There's a lot of privacy topics flowing around already, and that's why I'm very happy to have you here with me. Thank you for waiting so patiently, and I hand the floor over to you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stefano Fratta. I'm the policy director for EMEA for Meta. And it is my pleasure today to be sharing these closing remarks. And I cannot but thank you, Bitkom, for inviting me to this excellent event. So we said, let's talk a little bit about data innovation and the Metaverse. If you think of it like Europe, future prosperity, and the role in the world very much depends on the extent to which it's going to be able to innovate and innovate responsibly. And striking the right balance is not always easy. But it is like a necessary challenge in which regulators, like companies, all of us will play a role, a very important role. Data-driven innovation has the potential to significantly enhance productivity, resource efficiency, competitiveness, social well-being. And when it comes to Meta, data-driven innovation basically for us now means the future of the internet, like the Metaverse. So let's have a look together at what the Metaverse is and what are the conditions that are required to build responsibly this innovative future. So let's get started. And basically, when you start thinking about the Metaverse, a lot of people that we talk to, they basically say, okay, but what is really the Metaverse? Why should I really care? Why is it important? And even if I can be persuaded that the Metaverse is actually something relevant, how can I trust that these new technology are going to be built and governed responsibly? I think we're going to cover all that and we're going to discuss all that. But first, think about the following. I want to just try to think about the following. What if you could learn basically everything about anything in the world just by bringing it closer to you? Imagine standing in the street of Rome 2,000 years ago, visiting the local market, hearing all the noises, people talking, like it was 2,000 years ago. Imagine a health researcher studying heart defects and being able to view a 3D image of the human heart, take it apart, explore the vascular system, come up with new ideas for treatment and surgery that were simply not possible before. Imagine wearing glasses that display directions onto your field of vision and show translation of the street sign in your language when you're abroad. These are examples. These examples are just basically a fraction of what you can do in the Metaverse. So what is this Metaverse? The Metaverse, in the way we see it at Meta, is basically the next evolution in social connection and is the successor to the mobile internet that we have today. The Metaverse is a virtual environment where you can be present with people in digital spaces that are all interconnected. If you think of it, technologies has evolved tremendously over the last 5 decades. How we use the internet today has become a lot more reflective about the way we go and live our own lives. And so we've gone from mainframes that we used to have, in the 70s and the 80s, to the desktop computers, then to the web experience on desktop, then to the mobile experience. And we went basically from text to photos to videos. At the same time, however, we do not communicate just through written words. We do not communicate just through sounds or images. We use multiple senses. We use body language. We use spatial awareness to communicate. This is the progression of the Metaverse. This is why it is the next generation, because it's becoming a more immersive 3D experience of the internet that is going to be delivered on a number of different devices and a variety of technologies. beyond computers and smartphones and what we have today, you'll be able to enter the metaverse in a variety of ways, mostly virtual reality headsets, heads-up displays, and wearable devices like smart glasses. And of course, like the metaverse is never going to replace physical interaction. Like nothing can replace physical interaction. But then when traveling across distances is not possible, like we experienced in the last couple of years, when you cannot be in the physical world with the people that you want to be with, then the metaverse will bring you closer in ways that you have never experienced in the internet as it is today. So that being said, how can we make it more real for you? Like I would like to give you just a couple of examples, more practical examples on how this technology is actually already working in a number of fields and is going to develop going forward. First, think of the potential of immersive learning in the metaverse or in like virtual reality. Think of like a situation where students learn with others whenever and wherever they want, breaking down geographic barriers to education, improving the quality of the education by basically bringing a new level of excitement to learning by learning through the metaverse. There are already studies that show that the sense of presence that students feel when they study in an immersive 3D environment significantly improve comprehension, recall, and retention of data and notions when compared with traditional method of learning. And there's one study from Stanford University and the Technical University of Denmark that basically shows that immersive learning through VR, virtual reality, results in a 76% increase in learning effectiveness over traditional instruments. Let me give you like another example. On the job training, virtual reality, if you think of it, is a very cost-effective, low-risk way to train people in industries such as healthcare, retail, manufacturing, or the military, where large-scale training requires a lot of time, resources, and coordination. VR simulation is already used by astronauts, healthcare workers, pilots to prepare for like high stakes, low frequency events in a simulation. Because in VR, in a virtual reality, you can make mistakes without real world consequences. And so professionals can actually learn about situations that are complex to manage, but that help us randomly in their professional life. And then they become ready to act quickly when there is an emergency, whether it's in flight, in the outer space, like the astronauts, or in the emergency room. Having said that, and after I've given you this couple of examples, what is it that we need from a legal, privacy, regulatory point of view to build an innovative future, like to build like a thriving metaverse that offers all these opportunities to people and businesses? Well, at the moment we have GDPR, Digital Services Act, Digital Market Acts. With these measures, like Europe now has already a range of future-proof regulatory tools for the digital space. However, like the full deployment of the metaverse will certainly require more thinking around issues such as the interoperability among all the different elements of the metaverse, trust in data sharing, and the need for legal certainty, clarity, and consistency among different regulations and regulators. Even before that, I would say that we especially need a balanced and sustainable framework to protect people's data and to allow the free flow of data across jurisdiction. The free flow of data is necessary for an open and secure internet to function. It is fundamental to modern businesses as electricity, and it is therefore essential for your potential to innovate in the digital space. I guess many of you have probably seen in the last couple of days the recent press coverage that the US government is expected to publish an executive order probably as early as next week to address the ECJ concerns about international data transfer. While we await the details of this order, the creation of a new transatlantic data privacy framework is already like a step in the right direction for the thousands of companies in Europe that rely every day on EU to US data transfers to provide the global services that are used by millions of citizens and SMEs on both sides of the Atlantic. The current uncertainty and the uncertainty that we have been living with in the last few months around international data transfer is definitely harmful, especially to SMEs who do not actually have the resources to deal with the situation. That is why I really welcome the progress on both sides of the Atlantic to first enhance the legal protection for European citizens. And also, if you think of it, like the length of time taken by both parties, the European Commission and the United States, to get to this stage, to get to the stage of being able to issue the amendments required in the U.S. legal system, shows how hard talks have been between both sides to ensure that actually the requirements of the European Court of Justice were met and offer the platforms for a real and long-standing framework going forward. It's not going to take like a few months probably before we get to the formal adequacy decision. And it's important that process happens and starts actually sooner rather than later to help deliver certainty to all the business affected. So I would say data transfer is definitely like a key pillar of data-driven innovation going forward and of the metaverse. Apart from data transfers, which will continue to be a topic for discussion in the coming months and also here like at Bitkom tomorrow, another vital area to focus on when you think of the metaverse is interoperability. For the metaverse to become a reality, no single company can actually create or control it. The metaverse is or should be the successor of the mobile internet. And we hope that the metaverse is going to be a lot more similar to the internet that it is today, rather to the environment created by mobile app stores today. Like today's internet, the metaverse needs to be built to work across devices and across platforms. And it does require interoperability on fundamental standards and protocols. So different experiences will need to be compatible. Like if, for example, you want to be able to bring a photo you took in one virtual space into another, or to use the same avatar that you use in one virtual space into another, interoperability will be necessary. Otherwise, you're not going to be allowed to have that experience. So in the meantime, while as a society, we start discussing about this element, there is already work that we're doing at Meta to actually proactively, if you want, like build a responsible and privacy protective metaverse. We have set up from the beginning the work that we do around the metaverse in five priorities area. These areas are like first one, economic opportunity. How do we use the metaverse to give people a choice and maintain a thriving digital economy? Second priority area, voice and expression. We want to be able to create a space for people to share diverse views, experiences, different ideas, and information that matters to them. Third priority area, privacy. Clearly, building meaningful transparency controls into our product, protecting privacy in the metaverse is definitely one of the key pillars. Safety and integrity. We need to keep people safe on our platform. We need to give them tools to actually take action or get help if they see or experience something that they're not comfortable with on the platform. And finally, fifth element, equity and inclusion, ensuring that all these technologies are designed inclusively and are built in a way that can benefit most people. Let me stop here for a second and just to recognize the similarities and the differences there are between today's internet and the way we experience the internet today and the future of the metaverse, and the trade-off and the tensions that you can see in this comparison. Take, for instance, the commitment to safety and moderation. A commitment to safety and moderation can be sometimes in tension with commitment around the privacy. If you want to fully moderate synchronous conversation, like conversation that happen in real time on the metaverse, then you would need to have somebody listening in to each user and as they speak, potentially cutting them off, which would definitely be in tension with the value of giving users like privacy and more decentralized control. In a virtual reality, user would have different expectation depending on in which room or which environment they are. If you're like in a virtual town square, they would have certain expectation. If they then enter into a virtual store, a virtual restaurant, or in a private room, they're going to have different expectation. They would want to have like a private space. In augmented reality, the expectation that you would have around educational programs will different from the expectation you would have in a more social setting. So in the end, you see that there is a need to modulate and balance the trade-off between safety and privacy, between privacy and other pillars, so that different behavioral norms evolve in the different spaces and in different use cases that you can potentially have in the metaverse. At the same time, what we see when it comes to privacy is that there are like new technologies that are coming and they're on which we are working and the industry is working on every day that will help preserving like people privacy in the world of augmented reality, virtual reality, or the metaverse. There are solutions that leverage privacy enhancing technologies, or PETs, as we call them, that allow companies to minimize the amount of personal data collected and processed while preserving critical functionalities. On-device processing, for instance, if you think about it, on-device processing is becoming the industry standard response in many cases when you look at new use case and new technology. And we're also seeing and will continue to see widespread adoption of technology like differential privacy, federated learning, secure multi-party computation. There's like a range of technologies that are being developed to support like the privacy journey into the metaverse. And this is just the beginning of this fascinating journey. I personally very much look forward in the coming months and year to discuss privacy in the metaverse with the key stakeholders, with policymakers, like with regulators, academic and civil society, and businesses, and to actually find the appropriate answers to some of these very important questions. Let me conclude this brief final remarks with a couple of thoughts. I try to give you in these few minutes a very quick glimpse into the metaverse and the value that it generates and it can generate for society. The full vision of the metaverse is many years away. However, its core technologies, augmented reality and virtual reality, they're already with us today, and they've been around for a while and have enormous potential to improve the way we work, the way we live, the way we educate, the way we communicate, and the way we experience the world around us. The metaverse will bring an enormous potential and a huge potential for social and economic progress. It will also bring risks and challenges, and many of these risks and challenges can actually be anticipated. And that's why I think that we are today like in a very privileged position, especially as professionals that deal with privacy and regulation in general, because society is already beginning the policy discussion around the metaverse while the technology is being built. It's not an afterthought. So actually we're having those conversations in parallel with the development of the technology. And so our hope is that the lessons of previous technological advances can and will be learned, and that the rules and the standards and the norms that will govern the metaverse can be discussed in tandem, in parallel, with the development of the technology themselves. And I really look forward to engage with you and with everybody else on this journey. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Rebecca, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Stefano, for giving us a glimpse into what is coming and what the metaverse really is about. I am too very excited to see what the future holds in this regard, and I think you strengthened the point that, of course, privacy is is one of the core topics in the metaverse that is yet to come. Thanks for today.